Hello? Oh, hello, Jonathan. Come on in. Thank you. You're probably wondering why I asked you to come and see me a bit, yeah. One or two of my colleagues have been saying they haven't been seeing you at lectures recently, which is so unlike you. I thought I'd better ask what was going on. Hello? Just stand. Thanks. Won't be a sec. Yeah, okay. You have to tell me your name, I'm afraid.
John Horton.
John, okay. You want to see me?
Yes, I wonder if we could have a little chat. It's about work. It's sort of piling up, and
Well,
I don't really know what to do about it.
Okay, I mean, it's getting on for Easter. I mean, you'd expect work to be piling up a bit, really. I mean, there's a lot to do. I mean, is there any particular bit of the course that's really annoying you at the moment, or something like that?
Well, no, it's just everything generally. It's just all. I don't seem to be. I'm just like losing interest really in the course. I don't know why.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when things are difficult and it might just sort of be turning you off a bit. I mean, is that possible? I mean, if things I mean, it's the second year now, and it's not like the first year anymore, is it?
Yeah, I'd have thought I'd have sorted it out really, sort of whether I wanted to be here or not by the second year. But
well, indeed, yeah.
The first year was fine. I was quite happy with that. But
I mean, are you saying that you
recently
don't think you want to be here? Is that?
Well, I'm not sure. You know, it's
I mean, it is a bit late, yeah.
Things seem to be getting out of control. I'm in like financial difficulties as well, which might have something to do with it. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, how much? I mean, have you got one of these horrific overdrafts we're always hearing about, or?
Well, yes, it's getting bigger.
Yeah.
I don't know where. I don't know how it's gone, because I budgeted fairly well in the first year, but this year just seems I don't seem to have any money left.
It's called inflation, really, isn't it?
Well.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Well, now presumably, I mean, do you get a full grant or?
No.
No. Okay. So, what's happening? I mean, your parents not giving you the money, or what?
Well, yeah, they have, but.
Okay.
So it should be enough, shouldn't it? But.
Well, that's right. Yeah. I mean, there's a figure which is mentioned. I mean, what are you spending it all on? I had someone in here last week who spent it all on fags. I mean, he was sort of smoking away all day long, and that's the way the money went.
I spent a lot on books, I suppose. But
yeah. Okay. Well,
I don't know. Just little things, you know, clothes and curries. And, you know, it just seems to go.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, do you cook your own curries, or do you go out and buy them at huge expense?
Well, you go out a fair bit.
Yeah, and that means drinking as well. I mean, that's how it goes, isn't it, really? Okay, now, I mean, is it a lot? I mean, are we talking just 100 or so, or what?
Well, a few hundred.
A few hundred, okay.
It's 300 already.
Well, it's not disastrous.
Well, it probably doesn't seem much to you. But,
well, it's
a
sort
lot
of thing.
to a student.
Yeah, okay. Well, now, what are the options? I mean, you can try asking your parents for more. You must, I mean, if they can...
Well, they've made it clear that they can't really afford to do any more.
Mm-hmm. They're sort of cutting you off.
Right, yeah.
Mm. Why do they do... I mean, they may feel that you're wasting it.
Well, yes, they could be right, but...
Well, too true,
I mean...
what you say. Yeah. So they're not going to stump up anymore?
No.
Okay. So, well, you can always... I mean, the banks are keen to lend as much as anyone wants these days, so there's no problem about actually getting more to tide you over for a while, but there are other... I suppose you can go out and work. I mean, some people do actually go out and work, you know.
Yeah, I'd thought about that, but I don't really think I've got time to sort of... I mean, presumably you mean sort of a pub job or something.
Yeah, I mean, evenings. I mean, instead of going out drinking with your friends, you can serve them from behind the bar, you know. I mean, what's the difference?
Well...
I don't know how much it pays, mind you. It probably doesn't pay very much, but so you might have to do a fair...
I'd thought about that, but...
Hello. What's her name? Oh, Yeah, heavens. Now, that name really does ring a bell. Now, she's the girl in the second year that we think, or she's come and told someone, hasn't it? She's got cervical cancer. Samantha, isn't it? That was the name. Okay. Okay, so what's the position? Well, yeah. Well, I mean, you know, you never know how people get these things, do you? But I suppose we have to sort of do something for her. Okay, now, I suppose you want me to go and talk to her other supervisors, do you? She's just not been turning up. Actually, I've got someone with me at the moment, so if we can be fairly quick, I'll go and... Oh, okay, well, he's going now, so... See you anyway. I mean, if you're in any more difficulty, just come back and have another word.
Right.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, I suppose... if he really is desperate, he will come back. Right, what we'll do is... Hello? Hello, Jane. Come on in.
Hello.
Have a seat.
Thank you.
Sorry to drag you here with a letter like that about these exam results. Did you have the results from your tutor yet?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. Because I wrote to quite a number of people who didn't quite do as well as maybe people thought they were going to do on those things. How did you feel when you got them?
Well, I was very upset, really.
Yeah. Had you been thinking you really would do better than that from what you'd done last term in the work?
Well, I thought I was doing okay,
Mm.
but obviously I wasn't doing as
Yeah.
well as I thought.
Yeah, okay. Well, look, I mean, it's only Christmas time just gone, so there's lots of time, and the important thing is that we're going to get you through those exams with pretty good results in June or whenever. And there are various ways we can do that, and the first thing is, I'm saying these things because that's what your tutors have told me we can expect. We can expect you to get good results, right. Can we start by thinking about how you've sort of liked university so far, and what have been the good bits and what have been the bad bits about being here anyway?
Well, I can think of the bad bits at the moment.
What, like being here, being grilled by a tutor?
Yes, well, I don't really like halls.
Yeah. Yeah, you're living in hall. And what's wrong?
Well, I don't like my roommate.
Well, you're sharing. Yeah. You just don't get on from the word go, or have things got worse?
From the start, we've never got on at all.
Yeah. People are different, aren't they? And sort of throwing different people together is fraught sometimes. Have you talked to people in hall about it?
I didn't have that many friends in hall.
Yeah. Well, is there a tutor in hall that you can go and talk to?
I don't really know.
It probably is, actually. I wonder how to find out. I mean, I can certainly find out who your tutor is supposed to be, but have you heard other people talking about going to see people? I mean, sometimes they invite you to sherry or...
Yeah. Yes, we've got a tutor party, I think,
Yeah.
in a few weeks' time.
Yeah. Have you had an invite to that?
Yes, everyone on our floor has.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, what I'm wondering, I mean, not getting on with someone is fairly crucial, isn't it, when you're on top of each other? And what happens? Are they sort of going out to parties and coming back late at night and things like that? Or...
Yes, and she has her friends in when I want to work.
So it's
Yeah, I
pretty
don't know what to
cramped,
do about
yeah.
it.
Okay. I mean, I think probably that's the sort of thing which the hall tutor is fairly used to dealing with. I mean, it's a lot of people sort of find that, and there are ways of sort of coping with it and coming to terms with it. I assume, probably on your invite, he may have scrawled a name. One thing that perhaps you could do first off is to go and knock on his door and forget the invite and just sort of say, hello, I'm here, sort of thing, and see if you can talk to him about how you cope in that sort of situation. Because it's not pleasant, and it happens, you know, a few times. It's something which I guess you'll have dealt with. Okay, I mean, do you get on with other people in hall? You said you haven't got many friends. I mean, are there any other from the same department there?
Yes, there's a couple of people, and I go in with them or come back home in the evenings sometimes.
Yeah. Do you talk to them about the work you're doing?
No, not really.
Not really. I was just wondering whether the sort of surprise you had with the exam results was something to do with not having been aware of how well you were doing during the term and maybe getting just a bit anxious about it. And maybe sometimes talking to other students can help out as well. Yeah.
I suppose so. Well, they just seem to be doing better than me. And so, I don't know, it's just difficult to talk about.
They may be doing better at some things, but often not all things. I mean, they're the sort of, you see lots of people around who are horribly confident and sort of, chattering to each other about everything that's going on and just having a good time. Is that the sort of person you're talking about? Just sort of,
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the staggering things actually is that every year there are one or two people who say the same sort of thing, and at some point they discover that others really don't know that much more than them. There are some things which they can actually explain to the other students, and just sort of occasionally doing the work with them can help as well. May or may not. Yeah. How you could try. How would you actually go about doing that? I mean, I'm sort of suggesting something which you might try. How would you actually feel about going and saying something to one of the other people in your group and saying, hey, can you help me with this? How would you go about it?
I don't know.
When you're at school, you probably sort of helped other people in a way.
It was easy at school.
It is easy, yeah. And it's difficult sort of feeling that other people are at least as good as you. They're not. I mean, actually looking at those results, they weren't up to, as I say, the sort of the standard which we set for sort of Christmas, but there were other people who didn't do as well as you at all, for various reasons, no doubt. But what I'm coming back to is the fact that your tutors have told me that you really come across as someone who is going to be fine. There was something about those exams and I think, that sort of threw you. Did you feel you just weren't coping with the prospect of the exams, or what?
Yes, and when we were running up to them, I found it very hard to organise my work. Everything seemed in such a mess.
Aha. When you say organise your work, do you mean organise it coming up to revise, or do you find it difficult to actually sit down and think about your work when you're doing it?
No, I quite like doing the work. It's just I just get messed up where to start. Well, with revising.
Yeah. How did you cope at A-levels with revising?
Well, it was okay. I suppose I was in a better atmosphere there, so it was easier. I knew what I was doing.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think in many ways there were resources here that you probably haven't yet tapped. At school you probably got used to going and talking to your teachers and asking about things that you didn't know. I mean, that just sort of happens in sixth form. You sort of see teachers being fairly human. Have you been to, since you got the results, have you actually asked your individual tutors about how you could do better and what sort of things to concentrate on?
No.
Yeah. And they're actually, I won't say they're sitting there this minute waiting to give you the magic answer, but they are people who will sit there and talk to you about things. I mean, they're just the same as teachers at school are. And you can go and expect them to give you the help that they actually want to do. You look at that, that's not something that's going to come easily.
I suppose I could try it.
Yeah, I mean, is there someone who would be perhaps a bit more approachable to start with? Not really.
No.
Yeah. Are they all so intimidating?
Well, yes, they are a bit.
Okay. What I suggest you do is have a bit of a think over the next week in terms of where you think you went most wrong in that exam from the bit of information you've got, and come and tell me about that particular subject and I'll find out who's been teaching and maybe have a word with him about it first. But we'll work out how you can go and actually beard him in his den, because it seems to me that's a bit how you think about it at the moment. And it won't be like that actually, but we'll need to work on that. So one thing we'll do is you'll come back and see me in a week or so, and we'll talk about that. Coming back to Hall, because we've got to do something about getting you to establish a modus vivendi with your roommate, or do something else about it. Have other people had this sort of difficulty, do you know, with roommates who just don't get on?
I don't know, I haven't asked anyone.
I mean, you see, it might be possible to think in terms of seeing if there's a possibility of a swap or something. I don't know how they operate in that particular hall, but one thing you can do is go and find out what possibilities there are. Okay. Which means going and knocking on someone else's door. When can you do that? Because I think that's fairly important, isn't it? And see if you can, and if there is a possibility of moving, then you might well find that there are other people around who, you know, a bit more in tune with the way you think about things.
I could try it.
Yeah. Like when?
This evening.
Okay, great. So you're going to find out who this mythical tutor is, who's invited you to, so he must exist.
Yes.
And you're going to go and ask him, and just tell him about the situation. And that's his job. I mean, he's there as someone who is able to sort things out, but you've got to go and tell him.
Okay.
Okay, then after that, do you think things are going to be better, or are there other things which are going to get in the way of getting these good results, which everyone says, you know, you're going to be okay? What else might stop it?
I don't know. If the business at Hall sorts out, could be a lot better.
Getting a flat?
Well, yes, or single room, I don't know.
Yeah. That could help a lot.
If that's possible.
Yeah. And if it's not a single room, but sharing with someone else, just someone with different interests, and it sounds as though they're just not sharing your interests at all. What do you love to do in your spare time?
I quite like sailing.
Aha. Have you had any chance to do that yet?
No.
Okay, well, there is a sailing club. Have you been to try to make contact?
No.
You haven't? Okay. Well, I mean, you know, there's lots of things to do in your first term. But at some point, there are going to be people there who like doing the same thing. So if you get the Guild handbook, I guess that's where it's going to be, and check up who to write to. And you might even be able to get hold of a name and a hall or wherever. And there's a long Easter vacation coming up, not too far away. You're not going to spend all the time working. Maybe you can hang around a bit and do a bit of sailing.
That'd be nice.
Yeah. Okay. So, go and see this tutor in Hall, right? Then you must come back somewhere. Oh, I can't see my diary, but let's just fix a time and I'll write it in. What day is it? It's Thursday, isn't it? What about this time next week? Could you come back and tell me about the work?
Okay.
And we'll fix out how to see your supervisors and tutors. Okay. So Thursday, same time, 10 o'clock?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'll write that in the big book so I don't forget. And we'll see you then, and we'll see how Hall's going as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
See you then. Okay. Cheers.
Goodbye.
See you. Okay, Claire, sorry I was tied up a bit when you saw me in the corridor. I've got a bit of time now anyway. What can I help you with?
Well, really I wanted to see you because of my work.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just, at the moment, it's just completely getting on top of me. And as you know, I've had to be at home for some time because my mother hasn't been well.
Yeah.
I mean, she's much better now, so,
Yeah.
you know, I've stopped sort of worrying too much about that.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I mean, my work, it's piled up. I mean, you know how quickly it piles up.
Yes, sure.
And now my exams are coming up, and I just seem to have lost the power to concentrate completely. Every time I open a book, I'm just worrying about all the work there is to do, and I just can't get down to it at all.
Yeah.
It's just sort of panic, you know.
Which must be a totally new experience for you, I guess.
Well, I mean, I've managed to cope up until now reasonably well with my work. I mean, obviously, there's always been a lot, but I've been able to keep on top of it.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
now I just don't know how I'm going to get through it.
Okay. There are ways. You'll cope. How is your mother? I mean, you say she's a fair bit better.
Well, yeah, I mean, she's on
Yeah.
the mend now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'll have to go home for a few more weekends, perhaps, but,
Yeah.
you know, it's sort of over the worst, I think.
Yeah. Because you must have been really quite worried
Oh, yeah.
for a while.
Very worried.
Yeah. And has it left you still feeling worried about the future and what happens
Well,
from now on?
I mean, I'm not so worried now about my mum because I know, you know, things are on the mend,
Yeah.
as it were, but now all I can think about all the time is just work. I mean,
Yeah.
I haven't been going out or anything, it's just... And I'm not even getting it done, I'm just sort of sitting here looking at my books and just panicking.
Okay, right. I mean, I suspect that maybe part of it is still worry about your mum, because I mean, inevitably, I think. But there are ways that I think we can start coping with the work bit of it anyway. First, have you been to see any of the academic tutors about particular subjects or not yet?
No, I haven't.
No, because you probably missed some meetings with them, haven't you?
Yeah, I've missed some tutorials and
Okay.
I've got lots of lectures to copy up, which just takes
Yeah.
so time consuming.
It does. Okay. I mean, I think copying up lectures is one of the most soul-destroying
Oh,
sort of
yeah.
pastimes it's possible to imagine. And I mean, I just wonder whether it's going to be worthwhile copying up someone else's notes for all of them. And maybe there are some areas where it's important to know exactly what the lecturer said about something, but other areas, well, maybe talking to your tutors about things and sorting out what's the most important thing might help. So presumably, now I forget, so far as I'm aware, you didn't particularly want me to tell your tutors about your mum's illness before, did you?
Well, not really. I mean, I didn't want it to be a sort of excuse, you know,
Yeah,
every
that's
time I did a
right.
bad piece of work or something.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the reason that I haven't been handing work in and everything has got quite a lot to do with it.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
perhaps they ought to know about it.
Yeah, I mean, there are two ways. I mean, you've got to go and see them at some point, I think, and talk to them. I mean, I can have a word as well if you want me to sort of alert them to the fact that you haven't just been skipping classes. I'm sure they wouldn't think that anyway.
Yeah, perhaps it would be better coming from you, I think.
Well, I mean, I'm happy to do that to begin with. I mean, I'll just tell them that you're going to come and see them. I mean, lecturers are the people who set the exams, and you can't ask them what's on the exam. I mean, no student expects that, but you can. I mean, lecturers set questions on things which interest them, and in a way, yeah. I mean, are you the sort of person who goes and talks to supervisors and tutors about things anyway, or not?
Well, I mean, last year I did do my fair share of question spotting, as it were,
Yeah.
but at the moment, I mean, I haven't even thought about the exams. I'm just trying to look back and try and
Yeah.
catch up, which is so depressing because,
but
you know,
the two go together, don't they? I mean, the most efficient way of catching up is to do that which is most geared towards coping with the exams.
yeah,
Because, I mean, you have missed a fair bit, haven't you?
yeah,
And that, I mean, that's bound to create some sort of anxiety, it seems to me. I mean, you just have the feeling you haven't done what you're supposed to do.
I mean, it wouldn't be so
But-
bad if I could get over the sort of panic feeling
Yeah,
every time I open a
okay.
file, you know.
Okay. So I think, I mean, there are various ways of doing it. The first thing to realise is that you don't actually need, although it's desirable, you don't actually need to know the whole of the course in the same amount of detail as every other bit. And that's where your individual tutors can help. And that, in a way, sort of lessens the burden of feeling that you have to do everything.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you feel you've got to do everything, I mean, you get scared with this sort of every time you open a book, really, don't you? So you've got to do bits of it. And now, I mean, where do you do most of your work? Do you work a lot in the library, or do you work most at home, or
I
what?
do most of my work in the library, really. I mean, I work at home as well in the evening sometimes, but mostly during the day. Library.
How do you find the library for working? I mean, is it too noisy for your liking, or what?
It's okay most of the time. I mean, I use the books there, so I need to be there, but it does get a bit like a lot of people talking to you all the time and
Yeah,
sort of thing, but...
yeah. And in a way, that makes it a bit more difficult. But you have to have a break anyway, and maybe you need to go and
Well, yes.
chat to people every hour or half hour or something.
Mm.
I mean, one of the crucial things, I think, is to work out some sort of plan, having seen your tutors, for yourself in terms of what is most important and what's, you know, desirable but not crucial. And then sort of be fairly sort of ruthless in how you plan your time. And from what you've said, it seems as though, you know, if we can get you reading the first quarter of a chapter, taking a few notes on it, and feeling happy about it, that's going to be a start.
Yeah.
All right. So maybe that's the first stage, just sort of chopping it up into little bits and coping with it that way. When you go home at weekends to see your mother, are you going to take work home there, or are you just going to treat those as separate time?
I mean, I do take work with me, and I can do some on the trains and reading.
Yes.
I suppose I could do some at home as well.
Yeah.
But
Well, I don't know that in a way you ought to. I mean, I think you ought to see that time with your mother as being
yeah.
separate, because it's something different which you need to do, isn't it?
Mm.
And somehow it's difficult. I mean, you've got to, in a way, cut off work when you go and see your
Yeah.
mum.
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, at the moment I can't think of anything else.
Yeah.
I don't seem to be able to relax at all because
No.
I'm just sort of worrying about it all the time.
Okay. When you start feeling that you are actually beginning to take things in again in small doses, some of that anxiety will go. Because it seems to me what you're talking about is you're getting worried about being worried in a way. And
Yeah, I suppose
that's
so.
really going to sort of slow you down and put a block on a lot of things. Okay, I mean, have you gotten, which particular, I mean, is there a particular area that you feel more concerned about at the moment?
Well, not really. I mean, to be honest, I just haven't thought about
Everything.
it. I just look at the
Right.
piles of work and I don't
Okay.
sort of think about
Well,
it.
we need to think about it.
Yeah.
That's the first thing, isn't it? Now, I mean, I know I don't teach you this year, and I'm, you know, probably the last person you ought to come to talk about the particular bits of study that you've got to do this year. That's why you've got to go and see your supervisors. Tell them basically this, that what you need is some real sort of idea as to what to concentrate on now for the next week, let's say, and not too much. I'll tell them that as well, right?
Yeah.
And you can go and get the message from them. And then it's just making certain that you concentrate on a little bit at a time. I mean, if you're sitting in a library, I mean, you can't concentrate on a textbook really for more than what? Half an hour? At the moment, less than that.
Well, it depends. I mean, if I could just concentrate, I usually can work for quite long spells, but it's that initial concentration that it's
It's just gone now.
outside my
Okay.
grasp at the moment.
Right. Okay, what I'm going to suggest is you see your supervisors and tutors, like we said, get them to give you a little bit of work to do for the next week. You come and tell me, right, each day. I think we can find a time. We'll have to
Okay.
sort through the diary a bit. And just tell me what you set out to do that day and the fact that you did about 80% of it, or whatever. And we'll just do little doses, okay?
Yeah.
And I reckon within that week you'll be beginning to build up and do a little bit more. First thing is we've got to get a sort of scheme for the next week, right?
Yeah.
Oh, pick a subject. I mean, I don't know, physical geography or something, and we'll just go and play with that for this week, right? See, I'll ring your tutor about that. He'll expect you. You go and see him today, right? And then work out quickly just a few, almost sort of measured doses, right? And then come and see me tomorrow, 11 o'clock. Is that okay?
Yes.
Make it a quarter past. It's quarter past okay after coffee.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And then we'll just see what you've done in 24 hours, right? And we'll take it from there.
Okay.
It'll, you know, and then hopefully when we've got that going okay, you can take the weekends, right, and see your mum.
Right.
Okay,
See how it
right, we'll see. Okay. Right. Okay, cheers. Okay. Hello? Oh, hello, Jonathan. Come on in. Thank you. See. You're probably wondering why I asked you to come and see me a bit. Yeah. One or two of my colleagues have been saying they haven't been seeing you at lectures recently, which is so unlike you. I thought I'd better ask what was going on.
Yeah, especially it's a bit unlike me.
Yeah.
I've been feeling a bit ill, basically.
Uh-huh.
Nauseous and sickness. I mean, some lectures I've been to, but I've had to leave halfway through because I felt really sick.
Yeah. Have you been and sort of seen a doctor?
I've been to the health centre,
Yeah.
yes, and they said I'm physically fine, which is good, but they said I'm suffering from anxiety, apparently, which is a bit worrying because once it's in your head, it's a bit intangible
Yeah, I mean,
and you don't know what's going
the
on.
Paradox. If you're suffering from anxiety, you get worried about it, and so if someone tells you, you start getting worried, don't you?
That's right.
I mean, how did you feel when they first said it was anxiety? I mean,
Just really confused.
yeah.
You know, because it's nothing that you can put your finger on that's wrong with you.
No.
So I'm worrying about, you know, what is actually why I'm anxious, and that means I can't concentrate on my work anymore, and that makes me even more anxious. And so,
Yeah. I mean, what's gone through your mind? I mean, do you think there was anything they had in mind in particular?
I don't know. I
Yeah.
really don't know.
Yeah. I mean, actually, the third year is a time when there are actually quite a few things to be anxious about, and one of the problems with the third year is coping with all those. I mean, it's not just exams. I mean, it's things like what you're going to do next year. I mean, I've been writing references for you, so I mean, I know you're looking for lots of good jobs. How are things going?
Going okay. I mean, I've heard from lots of solicitors' firms and, you know, got interviews, but it's just. But I don't know whether it's for me at the moment, which is a bit of a late time in the day to suddenly decide I don't want to go
Yeah.
in that profession.
Yeah.
I'm just really unsure.
Yes. I mean, it may seem very odd only to have those thoughts now, but I mean, it isn't odd. Quite a few people actually feel that. I mean, at odd times. And have you felt that way before, or is it really for the first time now that you're having any doubts?
More for the first time now. I mean, I went through my schooling, and because my dad's a solicitor, you know, it was like automatically assumed that I'd, you know, follow in his footsteps, and I was quite happy with that. And yet, just recently, I don't know, seen the boring side of things, and I don't enjoy it that much. And I'm thinking, well, maybe it's not for me. But what my parents will say, I don't know.
Most things have their boring side. Have you talked to your parents at all about it? Or?
Not really. I don't know what they say. I think Dad was quite looking forward to having, you know, another solicitor in the family.
Yeah.
You know.
But you weren't going to go into his firm or anything, were you? When you were looking around.
No, I wasn't. No.
Yeah. But he was obviously feeling
right.
that was for you.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, is there anything at all which is sort of that you can put your finger on that's brought on the doubt now, or is it just one of those things that's happened?
Just one of those things, I think.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, have other things gone through your mind as to what you might do if you didn't?
Not really. I've been to these careers fairs and things like that, but they just seem to like throw management training schemes at you as an idea, but then they're all the same and they never tell you what they're about or anything. And
yeah. I mean, there's a great gap to jump, isn't there? Really. I mean, sort of preparing yourself for what follows, you know, in a few months' time is an awfully big decision. Yeah. What about other people around you? I mean, are any of your friends going through the same doubts?
not really, not that I've spoken to. I've kept them quite to myself a bit, which is, I don't know, maybe a bit stupid, but I've kept it to myself, and so nobody else really knows. I don't think so. Everybody else. That's the thing that all my friends have, like, coming to me saying, "Oh, I've got an interview with such and such a firm, and they've made me an offer of articles or whatever," and I've got all these interviews lined up, but
And they
You
all
know.
sound jolly confident about
That's
it all.
right.
And yes,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I suspect statistics would show, if one could ever find them, that a fair number of those people were also having some doubts and anxieties about things generally.
Yeah.
However, that doesn't affect how you're feeling about things at the moment. Right,
Yeah.
okay. So, you've seen the doctor, physically everything is okay. They actually suggested, I mean, have they suggested that you should go back and talk more about
Not at
coping
all.
with this anxiety?
No.
Okay,
No.
yeah. And so far as you can see, I mean, am I right that it's possibly related to just not knowing
Yeah.
whether you really want to go into the profession?
The future. It's such a big step leaving university and
Yeah.
going into the big wide world.
Yeah, okay. Now, I mean, have you tried to sort of establish any sort of list of reasons? I mean, I know things aren't always rational like that, but I mean, are there any reasons for and against the profession?
Not really. I've just, as I say, I've just been very confused, and I've just let things wash over me, and I haven't done anything about it. You
Yeah.
know? I mean, the more I think about it, the more anxious I get. So I try and put it to the back of my mind.
Yeah. And you haven't talked to other people yet? I mean, is there anyone that you might actually be able to talk to about it?
My girlfriend maybe, but I don't know. I get a bit uncomfortable around her these days. So
Yeah.
I don't know. You
Why
know,
so?
Sorry.
Why so? I mean, feeling uncomfortable around her these days?
Well, she's a second year, and we're getting on really, really well. You know, I went to university and I worked hard for the first 2 years, but then there was nothing really more. And then I met her this year, and it's been great. But now all of a sudden I'm thinking about, like, I've got to go into the big wide world, and that leaves her here.
Yeah, which is another part of
That's right. Yeah.
the whole situation. Yeah. I mean, at some point you will actually need to talk to her about what happens after you stand up there and get your degree and what have you. I mean, have you talked about that with her at all?
No, I think I'm probably frightened of the answer that she'll give me. No, I don't want to lose her, to be honest, but
Yeah.
you know, I might have to, and I don't really want to face up to that at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, lots of people do actually continue relationships with people who aren't around, you know.
They
on the
do,
spot all the
but not
time.
many. I mean, you know, absence makes the heart grow fond. It just doesn't work for
No.
university. You
Sure.
know.
Yeah, things are different.
You know, experiences
Okay.
my friends have had.
Yeah. I mean, can you see any way in which you could start coping with these anxieties? I mean, it seems to me what you've done is identify two things which are going to make anyone anxious, really, about things, and
Yeah.
if that's what's causing you to feel nauseous or whatever. I mean, have you got any thoughts yourself as to how you might go about coping with them?
Not really, because as I say, I haven't faced up to them because it makes me more worried. But thinking about it now, I suppose I'll have to face up to to things sooner or later.
Yeah.
I can't let them just keep going on and on.
Well, that's right. I mean, the more you go on putting things off,
That's right.
I mean, it's just going to get worse, isn't it?
Yeah.
And with exams coming and so on. Okay, I mean, you're going to need some sort of environment, I mean, or space or time or whatever to think about how you're going to deal with them. I mean, could you start by talking to your girlfriend not about, you and her or whatever, but about the job? I mean, maybe that would be a way in.
Yeah, perhaps.
And just sort of
Yeah.
lead to other discussions as well. Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, would she understand the problem about
I don't know.
the
'Cause
job? Do you
she's
think?
not facing up to it yet.
No.
Maybe. Yeah, I'm sure she would understand.
Yeah, I mean, I think people often can understand a lot, and
That's
so,
right. Yeah.
and the longer time you have to talk about it, the more you actually come to understand the pros and cons yourself, and it's something which does need a lot of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder also whether you ought to talk to your father, because at some stage, if you think that the legal profession is not what you want, I mean, he's going to know, isn't he? And in a way, you might find it helpful to making your own decision to work out how you're going to tell him whatever the decision is.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to think that my parents would be proud of me whatever I did.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you're possibly right.
Because-
Because that if I knew that he, whatever I did had got his blessing, then
I mean,
That
they're
make things
sure as
better.
hell going to be proud of you on degree day, because you're going to get a very good degree.
Yeah.
I mean, that's,
Hopefully.
I mean, when you actually come down to it, I'm sure your father is much more concerned about you're doing well at whatever you do, really. I mean, all fathers have their feelings about what they want their sons to do, but at the end of the day, you're getting a degree and so on. And I'm just wondering whether working out a way in which to tell him about the doubts you're having could actually give you quite a great ally, really.
Yes.
I mean, he knows how well you did academically last year.
Mm.
I mean, he knows you're a success. Really, is he going to be that worried about being a success in some other area? Probably not.
Right.
I mean, you've got two resources there, it seems to me. I mean, I know they have their own problems as well, but you've got your girlfriend, okay, and I know there are extra problems there, but in a way, if things are going, as you said, fairly well, although you have some doubts and hesitations, but, I mean, in a way you can talk about things probably like the job. And your father. I think you need to sort of really start thinking about how you're going to approach those two people and maybe others as well, and actually talk about it, because talking is the thing that's going to help.
Yeah, it's something I've put off,
It really is.
for the moment, and I suppose I'm going to...
And just, knowing it's anxiety doesn't get you anywhere. What you've got to do is a plan to attack that.
Yes.
Okay. The other thing is catching up with work, which you may need to do. I'm sure you've been working outside lectures. Just maybe go and see the lecturers and check that you haven't missed anything too vital. I mean, I know you're probably beavering away in the library like I always see you there. So you probably haven't missed anything vital, but check up on that. Come back and see me, could you? I mean, I don't want to sort of fix a time or anything, but, well, I'll see you around the corridors, but just pop in and tell me how it's going in a week or so.
Okay, yeah. I'll, got some talking to do.
That's it, and that's, I think, what's going to help.
Yeah.
It really is.
Okay.
Okay, see you around soon.
Right.
And people are really going for you. I mean, they're really going to make certain you get those good results soon, somehow or another. We're going to win.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
See you then. Bye-bye. Yeah.
Cheers a lot.